Hello my dear students, welcome you all in online class. Today we are going to discuss about the properties of materials. What is the need of sorting materials into groups, and what is the basic of grouping of materials? Today we will discuss about this matter and what are the main basis of grouping, on which space we can divide the group of materials and we can characterize them properly. Actually, we can group materials on the basis of similarities and differences in their properties. Each material has its own properties that may differ from others. However, some properties may common to one or more materials. As you know, in basic of grouping, also use of material is very important. Use of a material depends on its properties. Properties means the characteristics or characters of the material and the purpose for which it has to be used. And what is the use of that material? Let's discuss. There are many properties of material on the basis of which we can divide the materials into so many groups. First is appearance, how it looks like, that is the appearance. Second is the state, as you have already learned in class 5, what are the different state of matter. State including the different state including solid, liquid and gas. Later we will discuss in more detail in the next slide. Third is the solubility, means something. Solubility may be soluble particles may be solid, liquid or gas. They are soluble or insoluble. That property is known as solubility. Fourth is ability to float. Some things or some materials which are very low weighted, they are able to float, but some which having heavy weight, they are actually sink in water. So the fourth point is ability to float. Fifth is the transparency. Some materials, after passing light through them, we can see the outer side clearly, but in some material, after passing some light, we cannot see the other side. So there is the difference. So on the basis of transparency, we can divide the material into three. That is transparent, translucent and opaque. That is also you have read in class 5. Sixth is the magnetic properties. As you know, magnet is a substance by which some metals like iron, nickel, cobalt, these all attracts towards it. But wood, these are not attracted to the magnet. This is the magnetic properties. Seventh is the conduction of heat, means some things or some materials conduct heat. Let's try when you go to the kitchen, then the frying pan is easily become heated, as the frying pan, which is made up of a metal that easily conduct heat. That's why conduction of heat is very necessary for something. Next is conduction of electricity. Electricity also conducts through some materials. So what are these? Later we will discuss. So student, we will discuss two properties in a day. Today we will discuss appearance and state of the materials. Let's discuss about appearance. What is appearance? Appearance is the visual look of a material. What we can see or what we can feel after touching the material. First is roughness. Material can be rough or smooth. And rough materials have bumps or ridges on the surface. Bumps, you know, na? Means the irregular surface which can feel by touching on them. And smooth materials lacks these bumps. Like flower, the petals of flowers are very smooth to touch. but the bark of tree and also some rocks, the outer side of the rocks are very rough. So this is called roughness and smoothness. Okay, you understood, I hope. Next is the luster. What is luster? Any material when it's shine, that is the luster. So luster is the sign of a material. All metals in pure state are shiny, said to possess luster. So metals possess luster. This property of metal is widely used for making jewelry and other decorative articles which shines. You know na, jewelry like gold, silver, these are actually used as they are very shiny in appearance. And materials like gold, silver, bronze have luster. Next is the state of matter. You have already learned about the three states of matter. These are including solids, liquids and gases. So I have here differentiate between solid, liquid and gas in the table. First is the mass. Mass, you know na? Mass is the weight. Solid, it has definite mass. Mass means it having a particular weight. In liquids, it's also a particular mass or definite mass is there. And gases also it is definite. And next is the shape. Solid also the shape is definite or specific. And liquid, what is the shape of a liquid? That acquires the shape of the container where it is being kept. And third is the gas, acquires the shape of the container. It's also acquires the shape of the container where it is kept. Third is the volume. Volume, you know na? Some materials that occupy the space. That is its volume. In case of solid, the volume is also the specific or definite. And liquid also definite. And gases is indefinite. This is not specific, the volume. Next comes to compressibility. Compressibility means the property by which we can apply pressure on them. In solid, if we apply pressure, it can't change its shape. Liquid, and when we actually press on them, that is a little bit effect on them in liquids. And in gases, this is highly compressible, means it changes shape by our pressure. And fifth is the fluidity. Fluidity means how a things flow, that is its fluidity. In solid, in case of solid, it is not possible. As you know, this is a solid material, that's why. And liquid can flow easily, you know, and gases also can flow. And rigidity. Rigidity is the toughness, that is in case of solid, it is highly rigid. Liquids, these are less rigid. And gases, these are also not rigid at all. Seventh is the diffusion. As you know, in solid there are different molecules or different particles are present. So actually diffusion is the actually means when a particle moves from one place to another place. So in case of solid, as the particles are compactly arranged, so their diffusion is very slow. And in case of liquids, diffusion actually takes place. Particles movement takes place from one place to another. So the diffusion rate is higher in liquids. But gases, as the molecules or the particles are very far from each other, so diffusion takes place very fast. So where the diffusion is faster between the three states of matter, that is in gases. Okay. Now the space between particles, as you have already learned about that the particles or the matters are compactly arranged in solids. So the space between particles that is almost there is no space. So mostly closely packed. And in case of liquids, the particles are loosely attached to each other, but not in a compact manner. That's why the space between the particles is that is less closely packed. Okay. And space between particles in case of gases, that is least. Means, as you know, the molecules or the particles are very far from each other. They are free actually. That's why that is least closely packed. There is no closely packed molecules are there. And interparticle force. As you know, these solids, liquids, gases are made up of so many particles. Interparticle force means the force between two particles in each state. Means in case of solids, the forces between two particles is very strong. But in liquid, the force between the two particles is slightly weaker than the solid, and interparticle force means the force between the two particles is very less or negligible. Very, very less. Okay, I hope you understood. Now, on next class we will discuss the next two properties of material, and I'm very happy that some students have already responded me in the e-portal, and I hope all other students will also respond soon. Thank you.